there any present in particular you'd like for your 60th?
I'd like my wife to come home from Melbourne because she's been stuck down there for about 4 or 5 weeks, and it'd be good if we get a good result tomorrow night. I reckon that'd make the perfect weekend.
Right, you put it in that order. Could have been ordinary when you got
Politically, I'm pretty sharp, mate.
How do you go about that, getting that result tomorrow night?
Well, it's going to be a tough game because Geelong, you have to play 120 minutes of really tough, hard footy to beat a team like Geelong. They make you earn every win that you get against them, and to be truthful, we haven't been very successful at that over the last 9 years or so. I think since 2013 we've only won once against them, and that was that 1 point game up here at the Gabba at the end of 2019. So they've had the wood on us for a long, long time, as have a lot of other teams over the course of the last few years, and we've been able to meet that challenge. And we've done it once, but we want to try and do it again. There's no doubt about that. There's two good sides going against each other tomorrow night. There's pretty high prize for the if you get the result in terms of ladder position, and we want to put our best foot forward.
There was a bit of heat between the two teams last time you played them. Is there a genuine feeling between the two clubs?
It's hard to say. I think on that night, you have to remember that both teams lost the first week of the home and away season. Geelong lost to Adelaide and we lost to the Sydney Swans. So two of the better teams from the previous year were playing each other, and no one wanted to be 0-2. So there was a bit on in the game just for that reason. It was a high-pressured, intense sort of contest, and we're a younger team on the rise, and they're an established force in the AFL, and they don't want us to beat them, and we want to beat them. So that's how it all goes. I think that's natural enough. I thought it was fantastic.
Why are they so hard to beat?
I think they're very well coached. They've got a really experienced team. They're a strong-bodied team. When I say an experienced team, they've played so many final series. They understand what the big games are like. It's sort of comes as second nature to a lot of their guys. I don't know how many finals Joel Selwood's played in, for instance, but I'm pretty sure it'll be well over 30. We've played in 4 in the last 2 years, and that's probably about the extent of our experience. So, they've got that advantage, but we're on the rise and we're learning, and every experience that we get to play a team like Geelong, we look forward to.
You said you got respect for both teams, but are you confident the hatchet's been buried with Chris Scott?
What hatchet's that?
So you had a bit of an exchange with him?
Oh, he and I did.
Yeah.
On the Richter scale, that will rate as frivolous to me. I'll look back at the end of my career, and I'll probably run into Scotty one day and we'll have a good laugh about that, because much more has been made of it than what actually occurred, in my opinion. It wasn't that serious. It was just two coaches passionate about their team having a 5-second spray between each other, and that was it. And we've made a week of talking about it in the media. But no, total respect for him as a coach, and there's no issue there as far as I'm concerned.
Chris, it's the last chance you have to hit the sides above you. Like,
Is it?
Yeah, you don't meet Melbourne, you don't meet the Dogs.
Okay.
Yeah, that's. Do you need to make a statement, not for everyone else, but just for the team, to show, right, we can peg these blokes?
It's preferable to try and get a win tomorrow night, but if we don't, it's not the end of the world. There's still much more of this season to play out, and it's all about first of all, making finals, which we haven't done yet, and B, when you get there, being in your very best form. So this is just a point in time. It's a good little tester. We obviously want to do really well, but there won't be an overreaction to it whether we win or we lose, because we know there's lots to go on this season.
They tagged Lockie pretty heavily in the last game. Are you expecting something similar? And do you feel like Lockie's probably a bit better sort of physically fit to handle it this time around?
Yeah, well, I think last time Lockie wasn't expecting to be tagged. It wasn't something Geelong had done to him, so he probably mentally wasn't as ready for it as he usually is. So he will be this time. We're not sure whether they'll do it or not. Last time we played them, I don't think they had Mitch Duncan. I don't think they had Dangerfield didn't play. So they're a little bit lighter on in their midfield than they are at the moment. So that's a decision that they'll make. It was obviously successful, so it'll be something they would and should consider again.
Chris Scott indicated yesterday that you have to, because he's that good a player. So it's probably.
He told us then, yeah. Or maybe it's not. He might be speaking with forked tongue.
Coaches never got that.
Oh, don't they?
What do you make of your team's form at the moment. You know, the performance against the D's, they played well, but it was a late fade from the Lions. You said the bye had come at the right time, and then North Melbourne probably surprised you a little bit, but it took the team a long time to get into that game. Where do you think the team's sitting on you?
Well, it sometimes takes you a little while to get into a game after you've had a bye and the other team hasn't. I thought last week was actually a really good, strong win in pretty quirky testing conditions against a team that's getting better. So I look at it, you've got to look at form over time. Our last 9 weeks have won 8 games and we led Melbourne at half time. So our form has been pretty solid and we have no reason not to be confident in ourselves tomorrow night, albeit we know we have total respect for our opposition and know that they're a great side. But we think we're well placed. We think we're a better team now than we were back in round 2, but I think they are too, so that makes for a really interesting contest.
When you played up here, that game you referenced the last time you beat them, I think after the game a lot of people spoke about the crowd was a huge factor. You know, that roar when Link took that mark. Yeah. You're sort of banking on that being a factor again. Thursday's a bit different to it.
I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget how. That's the first time that I witnessed the Gabba at full steam, and it was an amazing place to play. And so, really hopeful that tomorrow night. I know it's a Thursday, but it'd be fantastic if we get a crowd over 30,000. Hopefully, most of them Lions supporters. You know, creating a bit of a cauldron on our behalf. I know our players would really appreciate that, and hopefully that's what will happen.
On Lockie and the tag, like, is there something that his teammates can do to help him out if he does get that attention?
Oh, look, I think that always happens, and it happened that night. You know, he wasn't left hanging out to dry. His teammates helped him out. Everybody understands that happens from time to time. But what Lockie also understands is that when you're getting played on like that, there's a fair bit of responsibility on yourself to respond and take that opponent into spots that he doesn't want to go into, where you are at your strongest. So. It's a bit of both.
Do you have a blueprint after round 2? I mean, you know what happened.
Oh, we had a blueprint in round 2, and we weren't that far away from achieving a victory. So obviously you always build on the blueprint because teams change and evolve. Yeah, but we feel like we have a good understanding of the way they play, and I'm sure they have a good understanding of the way we play. So it should be a big arm wrestle tomorrow night.
Team-wise, any major selection, inclusions, omissions?
Oh, well, Zorks is obviously available again, so he's got to come back into the team. We just got to make we don't have to put the team until tonight, so we're just going to make a decision, you know, about who goes out of the team. It's probably between Reece Matheson and Dev Robertson, and both those guys have been playing really well, but they sort of play the same position as Zorks, so we need to have a bit of a chat about that, but outside of that, I wouldn't think we make any change.
How's Berry tracking? I thought last week he was on track for this reserves, but didn't end up playing.
Yeah, so he's playing about 60 to 70% of the reserves this weekend. So he's feeling good, and obviously he wouldn't be playing in the game if he didn't think he was right. So hopefully that will see him in good shape for the following week, and then it's a sort of decision that we have to make based on form and fitness, when he comes back into the team.
It's going to be a tough decision, isn't it, between Matho and Dev? I mean, you'd love Reece's aggression for this game, wouldn't you? But
yeah, well, you do. But you know, Dev Robertson's equally as aggressive in a different way. He's a really great tackler and hunts the ball really well. And both of them have made a great contribution to the side over the last 7 or 8 weeks, particularly when Lockie's been out of the team. So yeah, it is a hard decision, not one that's easy for the coaches to make.
Good position to be in, though, having that depth.
Oh, it is. It's always good, but the depth and competition for spots has its downsides too. But you know, if you want to be a good club, you've got to have a deep squad. So hopefully that's what we've been trying to develop over the last few years.